Hello and welcome back or welcome to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium and a spirit navigator. And today you have tuned into my political predictions video. So I'm answering your questions. I'm channeling 60% spirit guides, 40% Susan. You have over 400 questions. I can answer these questions until, the day I retire and still never answer them all, but I'm going to do my best. Okay. When I'm channeling, I'm just following the energy and telling you what I get. This is not pre planned, it's not scripted. There is nothing in front of me. So, therefore, I just kind of follow the energy, sort of like a bloodhound follows a scent. Okay. We're going to get started with Naomi Seedberg says, will Alyssa Slotkin win over Republican Mike Rogers' Senate election? This is your question. Will Alyssa Slotkin win Michigan? Right now, right now it looks. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Never mind. Yes, I see blue. I see blue. I mean, they're doing their thing. They're doing their thing behind the scenes. Okay, you know and I know what we're talking about here. So they're doing their thing. There's a lot of like the shell game, like where is the VOTE at? It's under one of these cups. They're playing some games and shenanigans, but I do believe she wins. Now, it's not a foregone conclusion, but it looks blue. When I look at it, it looks blue. So I'm going to go with that right now. We have plenty of time, but that also means please support these candidates. Listen, if you have a candidate that has a snowball's chance in hell of winning and you don't support them, no one's going to run for your seat. You're never going to turn that seat blue. You have to support them. They're taking time out of their lives. They're spending their own money. They're, you know, again, like missing birthdays and missing important events in their lives. We have to support them. Give these people $5. Go to their rallies. Please support them. Go out of your way to support them. They're going out of their way to try to turn something blue. We all are in this together. Okay. Next question is TKJ608. Will the Conservative Party win in the Canadian election? So I'm not sure which election you're talking about. I don't know if this is the national election or a local election, but I don't think so. I mean, I know that your country is getting a little divided right now, or at least it feels like to me that there are some people that aren't in love with Trudeau, if this is the thing you're talking about, because I don't know. But I do think that he squeaks by, or the Republican Party, the Conservative Party, as it were, in your country doesn't win. But it's a bellwether. Okay. The guides are saying this is something to pay attention to, that the Conservative Party is getting more of votes, getting more popular in your country. So this is an important thing to pay attention to. It's something to really work hard against. Okay. So even if they don't win, it's really not a cause for celebration, is what the spirit guides are saying. I mean, that's kind of harsh, but that's what they're saying. They're saying it's a squeaker, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So yeah, that's what I get right now, dear. That might change, but that's what I get right now. Lillian Marroquin, I can't say your name. Marroquin. Sorry, dear. You say that you want to know what's going to happen with the Flint brothers and Roger Stone and if they're going to be prosecuted. So I have to separate them. I wish I could throw them all in the jail together. But so let me separate them. So the one Flint brother who's not in the military right now. Right. Okay, right. Okay. Uh I'm not going to make this a long-winded answer. I'm going to tell you that justice will prevail. However, it's going to take a while because they need to have all the chess pieces in exactly the right places. Okay, so when you're playing a game of strategy, you don't just go straight in for the kill, right? Because that exposes you. And if you miss, then you're a goner. The best thing to do is to take out the players around this person, the way they took out the Jan 6 players, so that when 45 ran again, he didn't have an army. His army was in prison. Okay. So that's what they're doing with Flynn, with both Flynn's. What's his name is separate. Stone is separate, but both Flynn's, they're very cautiously and strategically getting things in order, so that when they make their move, it's successful. Okay, so there's a lot going on behind the scenes that we don't know about and we shouldn't know about because, hello, you want it to be a surprise. Rest assured, justice is working behind the scenes, and that the right people understand what these two men are doing. That would be present tense, and have done. So it's not going to be what they're saying is it's not going to be anytime soon, but it is happening. Okay. Then, as far as Stone goes, I think his track to prison or track to justice is quicker. I feel like he could be back in a holding cell, is the word they want to use, or back in jail or back in prison. Those have different connotations, right? Like a holding cell versus jail versus prison. Jail means, well, we've indicted you, but you haven't been convicted yet, but we're going to hold you in this holding cell, right? So these are all different meanings. And it means that all three are in play. A holding cell is in play, as well as jail, as well as prison. These are all in play. I just saw Roger Stone going to prison for the rest of his life. His natural life is the words that they wanted to use specifically. Okay, let me move on. Thank you for your question, Lillian. Andy says, how is Kamala's health? Will she last her full term? Yes, her health is great. She's very young. She's very vibrant. She's very healthy. She takes her health very seriously. She eats right. She exercises. She understands that she's under a lot of stress. Her career choices have been stressful throughout her life. She understands what she needs to do to take care of her physical body. I see her doing fine personally. I mean, she is under stress. I do see that, but I see her doing fine. I don't see anything with her health. Let me move on. Tom White says, hi, Susan. What will be the biggest surprise for the USA 2024 ELECTION? I'm really trying to be picky because YouTube is really scrutinizing my stuff right now. The biggest surprise, well, right now, the biggest surprise, I think, is that 45 is not going to be on the ticket. Look, I've seen this. I've been predicting this for a long time, that the ticket for the president is a write-in situation. It's not a, 45 doesn't have the life force or vibrancy to complete the mission to November. That's what they want to say. So one surprise is that whether or not the Republicans decide to hasten, quicken this process and move him off of the ticket so that they can put somebody on it, that would be a surprise. I also think the surprise is who they're choosing. Right now, I've been getting a lot of energy around Tulsi Gabbard. I was just talking to my spirit guides this morning about this, and I was just asking them, why did the powers that be choose Vance if nobody likes him? And they said because he was fronted by Peter Thiel, and that's a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money. And it's interesting because, and it's the same thing with Tulsi Gabbard and the same thing with 45. Okay. The Republican Party is all about image. They're not about substance. Their substance actually is not popular with the American people. We know this. It's just their platform is terrible for the American people. The American people don't want it. So what they have to do is they have to put lipstick on a pig, so to speak. They have to put somebody forth that looks like somebody America would want. So they choose this white guy, JD Vance, who has an education, who is very close to moneyed interest. In this kid's situation, it's the tech bros, as we're calling them now, Peter Thiel. But also, this guy wrote a book called whatever. I can't. The guides are not giving me the name. uh, I can't get the name exactly right now, but it's about Appalachia, right? So he's supposed to be an everyday guy. He's supposed to be like from Appalachia. He's supposed to be a country boy. He's supposed to be on paper, he looks perfect. This is what I'm trying to say. On paper, he looks perfect, but the guy couldn't even order donuts. He didn't know how to order donuts. Yet he grew up in Appalachia? I don't think so. He grew up in a city, a little town next to Appalachia. He's not a country boy. He's a city slicker. And guess what? He's not fooling anybody. He didn't bring any voters. He's not bringing anything to their ticket except for money. Okay? So now everything has to look good on paper, right? So we have 45, who is he's the guy who does the cult, who does the magician, he's the guy that, does the magic on people. And all the people are still for him. So what they're trying to do is, this is where I think there could be a big surprise, is they're trying to move 45 to the side and then move Tulsi Gabbard into his place. She's a woman, so they think that's going to play well, and it will actually play well. I know that I don't know much about Tulsi Gabbard other than whenever I mention her name, her ex constituents like literally blow up my comments because they dislike her so much. I know that people have called, I mean, people meaning a news or political pundits have called her someone who would be in Russia's back pocket. So that makes sense, right? Like that makes perfect sense. She's actually 45 number 2. She would be a perfect continuation of that. So that's a surprise, I think, is Tulsi Gabbard would be a person that nobody saw coming. People keep thinking it's going to be Nikki Haley, but it's not, because their people are racist. They're never going to vote for her. I'm sorry to say it. She should have picked a different a different party that's not racist. These people believe, I guess, what they want to believe. So that's the surprise to me is how much energy Tulsi Gabbard has. That's the surprise to me. However, I'll go a little bit down the timeline to say, I think the surprise, when I go to January, I'm just going to choose the month of January, mid-January maybe. When I go to the mid-January, the surprise to me is that Kamala Harris is president. And I don't know why it's the surprise. It's not like we didn't see it coming, but we almost can't believe it happened. Like when you win the lottery, you're like, this can't be real, right? Like this is real. Like this is really happening to me. That's kind of how I feel is, wow, we did it. Like it happened. Wow, we saved democracy, right? So that's what I would say the two surprises are that I see coming. Now, there could be other surprises because everybody has free will. 45 could do something really surprising. He could throw some wrenches in this, because if you don't think that he's aware that they want him gone, you're wrong. He knows. He's very, you don't get to the top of a cutthroat organization like the Republican Party, or to the top of a cutthroat organization like the mob, without being kind of canny and kind of streetwise. He is canny. He is streetwise. He's more streetwise than anything. So he knows that this is coming, and he might do something to prevent it, like fake. I contend that he faked the pow pow to the ear. Okay. Talked about it in the last video, but he might fake a kidnapping. He might fake a stroke or a health issue, especially to get out of the debate. He may fake something else, but there's all this energy around pulling off something around 45. He may flee. So there's some surprises loaded for us to experience. And I think it's more than just one. But great question. Let me move on. Um, Maria Marino says she'd like to know if the race will be close or a landslide, understanding the Republicans will dispute results. Will it be so completely obvious who won? Yes, but yes, but I think it's going to be as obvious as Biden's was. Okay, so I mean I think it's going to be clear. I mean the channels are going to call it. This is there's no there's no way to say that Kamala Harris didn't win. But where I see the problems is in the individual states saying our count is off and then challenging the count in the states. And I think this is already being designed or set up or planned. And I've talked about this, and I've said also that Kamala Harris has brought on Mark Elias, who is an attorney who's been basically challenging and winning in court a lot of these court cases for the past many years. So he's been doing this on his own, right? Like our own Lone Ranger or something. Um, but she brought him on her actual legal team. So we know it's going to happen. She knows it's going to happen. They're preparing for it. But I think the question the spirit guides want to say or want to add to your question or whatever they're doing, I'm not sure, clarifying, is that when we get to the Supreme Court, because that's what's going to happen, right? Like, so if you have the states that say, yeah, we don't trust what happened in our state, we can't really condone this counting. It's gonna somebody has to be the arbiter of the final decision. So when it goes to the Supreme Court, this is where I don't see the Supreme Court throwing it for the Republicans, which goes back to my last question of what's surprising. What is surprising is Kamala Harris is the president. Okay, I don't see the Supreme Court doing it because to your question, it maybe not a landslide, but it's so big that the Supreme Court cannot they just can't. Like, they understand that if they did overthrow these results, that it would cause probably civil unrest, maybe even civil war within the United States. And let's not forget who really controls these far right wing SCOTUS people is the money. And if Americans are in the streets acting crazy, we're not at our job making them money. So there is a line where these moneyed interests, how far they'll go before they say, okay, never mind, never mind. We'll take this Democratic uh, team, a presidential team, and we'll do our best with it. We're not going to ask our bought and paid for judges to go ahead and throw it because it's actually going to be worse for us. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. I'm channeling, I don't really know what I'm saying, so it makes me feel like I didn't explain it. I don't know how else to say it. Chris S said, "Will Michelle Obama be offered a place in the Harris Walls administration?" Eh, She doesn't want it, but I will say this. She's had a sea change since she left the White House with Obama. Okay, like she's had a whole education about whatever however bad she thought it was when Barack won, however bad she thought our democracy was under attack and blah blah blah. And even seeing how terrible they were treated while he was president and how thwarted he was and how hard it was for him to do anything right for the American people because of the right fighting him, as much as all that really turned her stomach against politics and really turned her stomach against I mean, she just has a sour stomach is all I will just say. Now, after 4 years of 45 and then seeing 3.5 years of Biden, let me just say she has a different she has more fire in her belly. I don't know why I keep talking about her belly. Maybe she has indigestion or some issues in her belly. I don't know. Or maybe that's where her gut instinct is resides. But She went from sour in her stomach to fire in her stomach. And I don't see her taking a position, but I do see her and perhaps Hillary getting involved, getting more involved, having more of a public persona. Now, I think Hillary has had a more public persona than Michelle, but I see both of them joining together and really becoming more having a more public persona. And for Michelle, that's very different. She's been very private. I mean, you know, I don't blame her. I don't blame her at all. But I just don't see her taking a position. I hope I'm wrong because Michelle Obama is one of my favorite people. I had the honor to stand on a very small stage when he was running for president before he became president, and I met her and I spoke with her. And she's one of my favorite people in the world. So I would love for her to be appointed or run for anything anything. But I'll take this, right? Because she understands that she has a very unique sort of a platform to speak to women, to speak to young women. And I think Kamala has been encouraging her and Hillary have been encouraging her about this. I mean, there's this sense of you have to do something, right? Like, and that's what she told me actually. Because when I met her, there was about 30 or 40 of us, and everybody was kind of crowding her despite the Secret Service. And I was literally slinking to the back. Like I was trying to back up and let all this crowd get in front of me. And she just looked at me and she said, "No, you, I want to talk to you." And I was like, "Oh, for the love of God." And she said, "We need you. We need you. We need your voice. We need your help. You can't go to the background." I mean, this was before I had a YouTube channel. This was before a lot of things, right? And so I think she's getting that same message herself. We need you, Michelle Obama. We need you. You need to step up and lead where you wish to lead, right? So that's what I see for that. I think that's fascinating. I'm happy to see it. I will be thrilled to see it. I think we need more. I mean, what they keep telling me is we need more women leaders. Kamala Harris can't do this on her own. She needs a whole army of women out there leading us because the attack is going to continue on women. It's not going to go away just because Kamala Harris is president. It's going to get worse because Kamala Harris is president. Remember what happened to Barack Obama? Race got worse, not better. So the attacks on women are going to get bigger, stronger, and perhaps even more ugly. And we need all the women. I'm looking at you, women out there in your community, to go out and talk to high school women, to go out and talk to young women, to go out and talk to any women and help them understand that they really have power, that they have to be the ones to stand up and grab their power and be okay with being powerful. This is such an important message. And we can't win this if 20 or 30% of women hide and say, "No, I could never," or "My husband, my boyfriend, my father, I could never." We can't have that. We've got to go get those women and help them. We can't leave them behind. That's not going to work. Okay. So that's something that I see Michelle doing. Whew, sorry, that was heavy. I couldn't get out of the energy. What? Okay, so next question is HD Vor. H Devore says, what effect will RFK Jr. have endorsing Trump? It's gonna hurt Trump. It's gonna hurt Trump because it's like another weird. This guy cut a whale open and strapped it to his car, according to his daughter, when she was like 8, 9, 10 years old. He found a whale, cut it open, and strapped it to the roof of his car, and the stuff was coming into the car. Okay, well, you have Kristi Noem. Okay, you have 45. You have JD Vance. They are the party of weird, really, really weird. So this just brings more weirdness, more oddity to the party. And it's almost like you reach critical mass of weirdness and that's it. Like that was it. Like he actually brings the mass of weirdness to the critical mass and it becomes a cartoon, cartoonish, a joke. Okay, that's what the guides want to say. Now, I talked earlier about Tulsi Gabbard with us, the way things are right now, the way this energy is, right? You could very well see, like a swipe, a clearing of everything, and there is no more 45. There is more JD Vance. There is no more RFK. Instead, there's a Tulsi Gabbard and her pick. And if you guys don't think that can happen, then you're probably the people who said, when I said Kamala Harris will be president, you told me that would never happen. Look what can happen. Anything can happen. There are no rules. The Republicans don't play by rules or laws, number one. Number two, if Trump gets so sick that they use the amendment, whatever it is, the 25th Amendment on him, he's gone. If he steps down, he's gone. If he crosses over, he's gone. He's off the ticket. This is what I've always seen. There isn't anybody on the ticket. I've always seen mass chaos. I haven't even seen a VP because traditionally, if something would happen to the president who's running or the person who's running for president, well, of course, the VP would probably be able to step into that just like Kamala Harris did and also access that money and all of that machine that was the campaign. Well, I don't see a JD and I don't see a 45. So, and with that goes RFK. RFK is not going to have any effect on the Democrats. The Democrats have never supported RFK. He has nothing to us except for a big help. Let me move on. Okay, next question is YPJY. This is such a great question, and this is what we've all been waiting for, besides maybe clearing out SCOTUS, is will Congress pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act? Yes, it will give more voice to the people, 100%. This is like I'm getting chills. That's good. This is like the top 3 or 5 things on the Democrats' list to do when they gain office. Now, I just don't know if we're going to have enough Democrats to do things like change the rules of the filibuster or even get rid of the filibuster. I don't know if we're going to have enough seats. And sadly, even more sadly than that's just it is what it is, right? We won or we didn't win. That's what that is. But more sadly would be that we do pick up enough seats and the Democrats don't do it because they're the old guard establishment who are wringing their hands. And I don't know if I could be so bold as to strike down something like the filibuster. That's a bridge too far. Meanwhile, AOC is like, get out of the way then, go sit down. There's some Ensure and granolas and some oranges and, a whoopee cushion over there for you. Sit down, please. I got this, right? So we have to also have the willpower of the Democrats to do the work. In the past, they haven't. I'm just tell you like it is. They haven't. And I also tell you that they don't get too many chances to screw this up because they will be replaced. Period. End of story. They have 2 years until 26. If they don't do bold things like pass the John Lewis Voting Rights and enshrine abortion choice into law and and maybe do some more things towards the economy, meaning capping rent, reducing food cost by maybe going in and getting these grocers that are price fixing. If they don't do some things like that, and actually the guides are saying climate, these young people are going to replace them. So I can't guarantee you that we're going to do this in 25, but I think we likely will. Why are they showing me purple? I don't know what purple's about. I think it was likely that we will do this in 25. I mean, we have to, right? There's 2 things we have to do. We have to get the voting maps normal, representative, justice. Then we also have to get the Supreme Court under control because if you don't have the Supreme Court doing the law being ethical, nothing is going to work because whatever Congress passes, they'll just take it over to the Supreme Court. So we really need to have both those things sorted out. Those are probably the two first things that we need to be focusing on. And, Biden was not all that big about expanding the court. Again, we need somebody who says, why is it so hard to expand the court? We have too many district courts that feed to the Supreme Court. We don't have enough Supreme Court justices to match the district courts. It's not rocket science. It actually makes perfect sense. It's not radical, but yet the Democrats have taken this, gaslighting information and taken it on board to believe it. So hopefully we'll get a few new senators. I think we will get new senators, but hopefully the senators we get will be more action oriented, and hopefully we'll bring in enough House members to do the work. Because if we don't, I'm telling you right now, Gen Z is coming for us. The Democrats, they're coming for us. They'll vote for a giraffe to throw the vote in 2026 to teach us a lesson. We've got to do things like vote for the John Lewis voting rights. We have to. So what you can do watching me is you can write your senator, especially if you have a blue senator, and especially if you have an older senator, please write them every single week and say, you've got to do something about the filibuster. I'm counting on you. I'm counting on you to stand up. I'm counting on you to take SCOTUS to, the mat. You've got to write them and email them and call them. You've got to stay on them. We have to. We cannot be asleep at the wheel anymore, because the next person taking over the wheel is going to run this right off the cliff and do something crazy. Okay, so we have an opportunity here. We really do. And we can do it. It's not like we can't do it. We can do it. It's just a matter of making these people do what we want them to do and being vocal enough about it. Okay, let me move on. Prayer Warrior says you want the guides to look into what awaits humanity in 2026. It would be appreciated. It seems to be a turning point for humans. Thank you for any information and guidance. Well, 2026 is messy because, I see 2026. So a lot of astrologers are saying 2026 is like some big thing. Okay, well, also the astrologers said that the DNC was the worst possible combination of dates and something horrible was going to happen. And it didn't happen because the astrology can be manifested in a higher or lower way. It's not like the astrology says this is going to be terrible. It means the energy is going to be really high. The energy is going to be very fraught, or these two energies are going to be fighting each other, right? Okay, well, that might be true, but humans can look at these two energies fighting each other and say, oh, well, we choose this, and that can neutralize it. Okay, so now when I go into 2026, it's messy. The word I keep getting is messy. There's power plays. There's still power plays between the people and the corporations. The corporations, and I'm using that word as a catch-all for billionaires and power people, okay? But these power groups don't believe that they need to give up any power. They do believe they have more power than the people. They do believe they need to put the people down. They need to put the people in their place. So as the people rise up, which is the age of Aquarius that we're going into, Aquarius and Pluto, as the people rise up, power to the people, well, guess what? They're going to rise up and try to diminish us. So there is that thing that guides were just talking about, these two energies that are kind of at odds with each other. Okay. That is happening in 26. I think that's happening for a few years, but it's also, it's just a time period of readjustment is what the spirit guides are saying. Yeah. I just talked about how men are going to backlash against women. Yes. These moneyed interests are going to backlash against the people. Yes, they are. We have our work cut out for us is what the spirit guides are saying. And that's why we cannot be asleep at the wheel. That's why we cannot say, I voted for Kamala Harris. I sent her $5. I'm done. It doesn't work like that. How we got here today is, and I'm as guilty as this as anybody, right? That I saw the Republicans take over my town. It happened like I couldn't stop it. It was insidious. I lived in a very blue town. It was the county seat. The county was red, but my town was blue. I saw it happen. I saw judges that I knew personally turn into Republicans just to keep their seat. They had to have an R behind their name just to keep their seat. It was insidious. It's the same thing that's happening to the media, to NPR, it's happening to MSNBC, it's happened to the New York Times. It's this slow, moving crush of conservatism that seems to sort of take over. Well, that's fine. That has happened and it is happening. But what's happening now and what's going to be happening for sure in 2026 is the power to the people are going to rise up and say, no, we don't want that. So there's going to be some clashes between the people and the powers. And what we can do is get really involved in our local state politics and support the not so conservative Republican. We can educate people. Like I've talked about in the past about putting yard signs up that aren't specifically Democrat. Like one of the yard signs that guides are reminding me that I thought would be really interesting is you wouldn't let anyone treat your mother the way Republicans are going to treat her, right? Or something about conservative Republicans aren't Republicans. They're weird, right? So even though you live in a red place, you can start putting signs out that create some distance between conservative and Republican. We need to separate those two things again. Because this is what you can do. Also, even if you live in a red place, I'm seeing a lot of these red states going blue. So if somebody has, the courage to run for office, whether it's for your county judge or it's your mayor or city council or whatever it is, support them. Go to their rallies. Send them $5. Go to their sponsor a pizza party for their volunteers. There's lots of ways that you can help that doesn't require you to like knock on doors or block walk or you can do things like, hey, I have an old laptop that I can clear off and donate it to your campaign if that would be helpful, right? Why don't I donate my old phone to your campaign? There's so many ways you can help local people, and that's where it's going to make a difference in 2026. We cannot abdicate. This is our lesson, you guys. I'm telling you right now, we in some ways, I guess we allowed it. I mean, it's not that easy as a human. I would clap back against the spirit guides and say that in a red place, it's scary. These people were violent and the police were on their side. And so it was really scary. But I think we're in a place now where these women have to stand up because it's either you stand up and you fight for your rights or else you're literally living in the handmaid's dream, the handmaid's book. We don't have the luxury anymore of saying they're crazy, but I don't listen to them. No, they're crazy and they're coming for us. They're coming for us. So we have to do something. And the more we do something now, the less we'll have to do in 26. Okay, so that's what I would say. Let me keep going here. Bona fide gal says, does Senator Sherrod Brown keep his seat in Ohio? Sherrod Brown wins. I think he wins. I think he wins. I think he's very beloved. I mean, I see that he's made some enemies and he's being outspent maybe or outmaneuvered or something. But Sherrod Brown is another one of those races where the ghost voters, like the voters that people are like, wow, where did all these voters come from? he's going to be one of those races where these people that maybe have never voted before show up and vote. And that leads me to say, please check your registration every week. I hate to say it, but every week they just threw out a bunch, thousands, I don't know how many of the registrations in Texas. You better believe they're doing it in Georgia. They're doing it everywhere, even in blue states, they're doing it. It's not going to be enough for Mark Elias and Kamala's legal team to take these people to court after the election. We need to get this done before the thing happens. Okay. Check your registration. Let's see. Let me see how long I've been going. Okay. Let's do a few more. User says Aaron Marshall, who's a Democrat, win against James Comer, Republican of Kentucky. Aaron Marshall, how are you doing, Aaron? Oof. Okay, so she's really up in her head. She's got a lot of stuff going up here. Like she's a person who really she's quick and she's not a I don't know how to describe her energy. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't know. It's tight. His energy is so heavy and rooted, planted, like he's planted. You know what I mean? Like he's standing firm. And she's kind of like her energy's like light, like she's a dragonfly kind of flying around him, or a bee, more like a bee flying around him, bugging him. Right now, I hear it's his to lose. It doesn't mean he can't lose it. He can, but it means that he would have to do something or some information would have to be, or what they just showed me is the women vote. The women's vote could knock him out. It could be same thing with Sherrod Brown with these voters that nobody's polling, nobody's talking about, nobody even knows they exist, but they do by the thousands, by the tens of thousands, the spirit guides are saying, and they're motivated. They're really motivated. These are not people who are dragging themselves to go do it. They're fired up to go do it. Like they see this as their mission, right? Like this is their mission to do it. So that could change this election. And if that happens, if those people, if their VOTESs are counted, you know what I'm talking about, she would win. I'm going to give her 70. That's more than half. 75% chance that she's going to win. That's better than I thought. When I go into the women energy, she can win. But that is going to be one of those races that they contest and they say, no way. There's no way, right? Like, who are these people? They're going to say that a lot in red states. They're going to be like, no, who are these people? Well, I think you're going to have people like whatever that guy is, Kornacki or whatever it is. He's going to say, they're here. Here's the people. Here's the district. And yeah, this makes sense. Like these people would come from this district. It's not like you have D's coming from some R district. No, this is like a district that blew up, right? That just really took off. So yeah, I think that is a very good possibility. Your other question is, will Missy Cotter Smasel win Virginia against Republican Jan Kiggins? I don't know why they're showing me this. I can't get them to stop showing it to me. I see this Missy Cotter woman getting hit in the solar plexus, like below your ribs, like punched, hit, blocked. I don't understand. They won't stop showing it to me. I don't think it's a heart attack. Could be like a panic attack. Could be like something like that. I don't know why they're showing me that. They won't stop showing it to me. That's about Missy. It could be that she has health problems that come up that she either doesn't disclose. Panic attack. I think it's a asthma or panic attack. It's right here, like right below, like right at the base of my ribs, at the top base of my ribs, not my heart, lower. Anyway, I don't know. They won't tell me anything else. That's what they're telling me. Like I'm breathing hard. Maybe she even drops out. I don't know. She could have some health issues. She could overcome them, but right now it's got the better of her. Like it's really, I don't. It's really terrible. I'm the kind of person. I'm the kind of psychic that feels things in my body. So if I'm talking about somebody and they have a heart attack, I feel it, or they have a migraine, I feel it. I can't get this out of my physical energy. Like she's really struggling. I don't know if it's asthma or if it's a panic attack, but it's like killing me. So I'm gonna let go of that and move on. And and release it. And I'm going to send her some. I'm not going to send it directly because and it's a long story. But I'm going to send through some spirit guides and angels, um, some love and protection and something. And if you're a Reiki person, you might want to send something to this Missy Cotter Smasal, Smasal, because she kind of could use some love right now. Okay, let's move on. Elizabeth says, is Ghislaine Maxwell still serving sentence in Northern Florida? Will she expose the pedos on the right? I did a long reading on her a long time ago. Right. So the guides are saying, doesn't she still have her book? Doesn't she have a tell-all book coming out like pretty soon? Except for that it's not going to be, obviously it's not going to be tell all, because she needs to keep some things on the down low as bargaining chips. Okay. That's why she's still alive is because she has bargaining chips. And I'll just tell you briefly, in that reading that I did a long time ago, she had taken like one page of names and or video and audio and sent it to a person who then sent it to another person who then sent it to another person in like a crazy place like Afghanistan. Okay. And then another person in the Philippines and then another person in, Venezuela. So that the people that have these things, they don't know what they are. They don't speak the language. They can't read it. They can't understand it. All they've been told is, you keep this. I'm gonna call you up on video camera once a week and you're gonna show it to me. You're gonna play it for me, and then I'm gonna send you money. In this way, nobody knows who has these things. I don't even think she knows who has them, but it's like disseminated, right? There's like 40 people that are managing this situation. So if you knock off her and 10 of those people, you still have 30 people out there hitting the green light to flood the airwaves with all of this. And I'm telling you, it is, I mean, it's not embarrassing, it's criminal. Okay. That's why she's still alive. So now she's got this tell all book coming out. Is she still in Northern Florida? Was your question? Is she still serving citizen? I feel like she's been moved, but I don't know where. I don't feel like her treatment is very good. Um, it's sporadic. Sporadically, she has really terrible treatment. I don't know why. They put her in like I don't know. But anyway, sometimes like she's getting treated well and then other times she's treated bad. I don't really understand. Oh, they're playing mind games with her. That's what it is. They're giving her really nice food, really treating her really nicely. And then when she doesn't divulge or whatever, then they treat her really terribly. And she doesn't really care because she's learned how to disassociate through all the things that she did to people. And in some way, that's her karma. That's her karmic justice coming back to her, because in a lot of ways, it's not the same, but it is a terrible thing she's experiencing. Okay, so that is a karmic justice coming back to her. And will she expose them? This tell-all book is going to expose some people, but it's not. It's very generic and watered down. I mean, I think the press is going to be excited for it, and I do think that potentially Bill Clinton. I have been seeing some stuff come out about Bill Clinton, um, that's not very good. Um, but no, the answer is no. I don't really see her exposing. Well, what's that? Wait a minute. Something else just came in. It's not her. That's why it's not her that's going to do it. There's somebody else. Right. I think I've said this before. There's somebody else that has very damaging video from that time frame with the Lolita Express, but whatever. Um, they they may even disseminate it and then take their own lives. Uh, I don't know. It's got that kind of energy to it. So I think because the energy is exposure. That's the energy we're in right now is exposing these secret societies, exposing these billionaires, right? That's the energy. That's the energy we're going to go into um closer to the end of the year and for the next 30 years is power to the people and off with their heads and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think somebody else might do it for her. Yeah. That doesn't make her very safe. If somebody does that, then they don't have any reason to keep her around, if you understand what I'm saying. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question. There will be there will be exposure. I don't see her cutting a deal with somebody. Uh well, okay. So the problem is she could cut a deal with one group, but there's so many groups that she has dirt on that the next group would just jump in and grab her and stick her in a hole somewhere. So I don't know. I guess the question would be, do I ever see her being free? Hunted. She is exactly what they just said. She's hunted. If she gets free, she cuts a deal, she gets free, she's hunted. Two words, hunted and haunted. I don't think karma's going to stop coming for her in the form of the police, the legal system, but also these people that she's done things to. They're out there and they're not well. They're not well people, okay? And they don't have anything to lose, if you understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, let me move on because that's some dark stuff right there. Let's see. Here's a good one to kind of wrap it up on. Sheila says, do we see, or do I, the guide, see Taylor Swift and Beyonce holding a fundraiser for Kamala? I don't. I just don't. I mean, I might be wrong. I don't see Taylor Swift doing it for a lot of reasons. One, Taylor Swift talks to her fans through these wink and and her fans get it. I mean, she doesn't have to come out and say go vote for Kamala Harris. All she needs to do is take a picture of a cat. That's it. All she take put something in that green, in the AK green, right? Like her fans would get the message. They do not need to be told overtly what to do. They watch her, they add uh Kelsey's his jersey number, they add that to the number of shows that she's had, plus they come up with all of this stuff, right? So she's going to tell them to support Kamala Harris without telling them to support Kamala Harris. I don't see her doing anything overt personally. Could be wrong, but I don't see it. Now, Beyonce, I can see. Right. Well, plus also, let me go back to Taylor Swift for a second. Plus, Taylor just had to cancel a big tour because of a real credible threat against all the people in the stadium. And she understands that because she's a superstar, people want to do bad things, but if you add a political edge to that, then you're for sure going to have people wanting to do bad things, right? Like you become a bigger target. And it's not about her, it's about her fans that she's worried about. She wouldn't ever put her fans at that kind of risk. So I think she's been very careful about her political, how far she's willing to go. Now, Beyonce, Beyonce has a different energy. Beyonce is more political. I think that in general, Black people have to be more political because they are not privileged. They live this shit every day. They they can't hide. They can't pass. You know what I mean? They standing out there and people come for them. Okay. So I think Beyonce will do something with Kamala, but I really think that it's either towards the end or at the inauguration. Now, I did see, they're reminding me, I did see Taylor coming out and help, but that was before the attack. I don't know. It's in Taylor's heart to do it, but I don't know if she will. As far as Beyonce, yes, I think she will. I know you guys want to see them together. I don't see it. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong, right? They could change their minds. But I don't right now anyway, in the end of August, I don't see it. Maybe by October something happens and they feel like they need to do it because it's the thing to do so they can change their minds. But right now I don't see it. Okay, one more question. Okay, here's a question from a person from the Netherlands. Thank you, Eric. Uh, and you're just as confounded as the rest of us are, Eric, about why people are supporting 45 to be the next POTUS or the next president. You're asking, does the reincarnation of Ahriman play a role in the story? Ahriman. I don't know who that is. But I would say to you that the answer I'm getting is not directly, so not a direct incarnation of this energy, but it's the energy of that person. Okay, so the energy of that person is very similar to the energy of Trump. And when you go into it, it's really pretty simple. Um, America has never gotten over its racist problem with the Civil War. We never got over it, apparently. Some people never got over it, and they're still wanting white people to be in charge. This is the bottom line. That's it all in a complete nutshell. And honestly, it's white men. White men should be number one. And under that is white women, and then under that is whatever, who knows what, you know, where they put anybody, I don't know, but everybody else is under the white man. And so white men are literally losing power. Women don't want to marry them. Women don't want to have kids right now. Um, every other race is procreating more than white people. Other races are, climbing the economic ladder and giving white men a run for their money. And white men are lazy and sitting around. They're the real DEIs. They're the real people who have the privilege, right? But they're seeing that all be taken from them, and they're fighting it. They're angry about it. But whoever this person is that you're talking about, the energy is similar to Trump. So the energy is at play for sure. Thank you for your question. Thank you for watching from the Netherlands. And with that, I'm going to end this video. I will have more because there's so much more to talk about. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you watched this far and you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And hold on tight, you guys. Things are really cracking right now. Things are really picking up speed. We're going to see lots of things happen. And in the end result is still democracy is saved. The end result is we still have a wonderful team, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And we'll have to see how many seats we can get added to the House and to the Senate. That's where the real work is. So take really good care of yourselves. Please help your local people running for office or consider running for office yourself. Take really good care. I'll see you again real soon. For entertainment purposes only.